Choppy volatility on low volume continues today as currency fluctuations in the major yen crosses call the tune. With your MacDesk Flow Report for Wednesday, June 12th, I'm Rebecca Darst from the Market Access Center here at the New York Stock Exchange. We are down about 55 points in the Dow, just about 5.5 S&P points. We are off the lows of the session, and that's not a huge move viewed in isolation, but bear in mind that we opened up triple digits this morning and watched that early pop higher evaporate just as robustly by the late morning. Let's recap the action on global markets overnight. Several key Asian markets, specifically China, Hong Kong, and Taiwan, were closed for the traditional summer holiday known as the Duanwu Festival. Japanese stocks closed lower this morning, but well off their worst levels, although exporters had another difficult session due to early strength in the Japanese yen. Nikkei financials were the biggest losers on a percentage basis, down 1.3% on the day after the Japanese parliament passed what are known as bail-in rules that will increase investor liability and decrease taxpayer burden for failed financial institutions. These new rules will also add brokers and insurers to traditional depository institutions eligible for emergency funds from Japan's Deposit Insurance Authority. European stocks closed in mostly lower territory today due to a flare-up in concerns from the continent's southern periphery. This has become something of a summer tradition on the global markets. Violent clashes between police and anti-government protesters in Turkey continued overnight, continuing 2 weeks of the worst civil unrest to hit Turkey in a decade. Greece has been back in headlines this week, with yields on 10-year government debt surging yesterday after the country failed to find any takers for its monopoly natural gas producer. This morning, the state-run broadcaster was shuttered, and there was additional news from MSCI, the maker of stock index investment products, which took the unprecedented step of cutting Greece to emerging market status. And in Germany, there's Eurozone wrangling going on, with the German High Court continuing to hear arguments over the constitutionality of the ECB bond buying program. Here in the U.S. pre-market, data was light on the ground, but markets staged a higher open on a rebound from yesterday, no doubt helped along by some M&A activity in the tire space. Cooper Tire rallied sharply after catching a bid from Apollo Tires at a premium of 42.5% to last night's closing price. That news brought Goodyear higher as well. But the mood didn't last long as stocks succumbed to a rally in the value of the Japanese yen against the dollar, also known as the unwinding of the dollar-yen carry trade. On the whole, however, volume in all listed stocks is running about 20% below levels we would expect to see on a summer afternoon. And we're seeing similar thinness of volume in the options market, particularly on the call side. The volatility index, that's the VIX, is up 5% and testing the 18 level today amid choppy market action. Taking a look at what's on the docket for next week. Next Monday, we'll get things started with Tokyo area condo sales for May, Eurozone trade balance data for April, Canada existing home sales, and April international securities transactions. And a brisk week of U.S. data begins with June manufacturing data from the Empire State region, along with the NAHB Housing Market Index. We could see some volatility emanating from China beginning on Tuesday with the release of the May Conference Board leading economic index and property price data out overnight. We'll get minutes from Australia's central bank policy meeting for June. Japan will release April industrial production and capacity utilization and May machine tool orders. May inflation data is due out of the UK. Germany will release a widely followed business sentiment survey known as the ZEW. And the US will release May CPI, housing starts, and building permits. Next midweek, we've got May trade balance data and nationwide department store sales from Japan, minutes from the last Bank of England meeting, Eurozone April construction output, and what promises to be a very keenly watched FOMC rate decision here in the U.S. We've also got a handful of earnings. FedEx, Red Hat, and Discover Financial will report. On Thursday, China will release its June HSBC flash PMI overnight. We've got April coincident and leading index reads from Japan, along with PMI and consumer confidence from the Eurozone, and retail sales and order bookings data from the UK. The U.S. will release weekly jobless claims, June PMI, May existing home sales, and Philadelphia area manufacturing. Earnings are out from Oracle, Kroger, and Rite Aid. We'll finish the week on a light note with the Eurozone April current account, UK May public sector net borrowing, consumer price and retail sales data from Canada, and earnings from Carnival Corp, ConAgra Foods, and Darden Restaurants. We'll be following the action as it unfolds here from the trading floor, so check us out next Wednesday for the next MacDesk Flow Report.